Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thirsty Thursday edition of The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, in the place called California. But I do not do this program by myself.
Is it really Thirsty Thursday already? Wow. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome to The Rundown. It is Thirsty Thursday, according to what Craig tells me, unless it's some kind of weird time zone thing going on here. My name is Mike Poworski. I will be your co-host today, and welcome to it.
Mikey, it is always fun. It is always fun. You know, I have to tell you, in prepping for this show, the hardest thing was deciding what not to talk about.
Isn't that a great day? Isn't that a great day when you got so many topics that you're like, man, I got to save some of these for tomorrow. And then tomorrow you get the next thing, right? And then Monday comes around and you got nothing because it's after the week.
It's been relatively news slow, for the last week or so.
Yes.
And the great thing about this is that the news is pretty darn good. I mean, it's not like the normal, where we're going to be on here railing about stuff, although we will find stuff to complain about. But at least we've got some fun, entertaining, and positive stories.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and human interest. Don't forget the human interest. Yeah.
Have to have the human interest. That's got to be kind of a thing.
That's right. That's a thing with Orlando news. I tell people all the time, I say, listen, they're like, oh, Orlando's so great. And I'm like, listen, I want you to come to the hotel, the airport hotel. You never leave airport property. Go in there and just turn the news on, the local news that runs every 15-minute loop. And within 8 hours, you'll be back on a plane heading back to the safety of Oakland or Washington, D.C. or Chicago, because Orlando news is horrible. It's blood, mayhem, death, terror, how'd the Orlando Magic do, and here's a puppy.
No Disney?
No Disney. They don't give any Disney.
You guys don't get to hear about Disney there at Disney World. That don't happen.
Disney just bans you from talking about Disney. You're not allowed to talk about Disney.
First rule of Disney: don't talk about Disney.
I'm with the news. You're not allowed
Disney
to talk
Fight Club.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, man? Look, hey, then let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's get right into it. All right. I got the one thing that I got the most questions about yesterday on Facebook, on Twitter, no matter where it was, had to do with the Supreme Court hearing the New York carry case, the case that basically is going to help us know once and for all, or at least should help us know once and for all, if we actually have a fundamental right to bear arms or to possess a firearm for self-defense outside of the home. Now, I had a chance to listen to it live as it was happening. And I got to tell you, Mike, and we talked a little bit about this before, it's kind of like watching a movie where sometimes they're speaking English and sometimes they're not, and there's subtitles. So you kind of got to make sure that you pay attention, because if you don't, you're gonna miss some stuff, and it's gonna make following sometimes a little bit later kind of hard. But I gotta tell you, Mike.
I tried to listen live, and I had a distraction going on and wasn't able to do it, and then tried to listen a little bit later on. I think I picked back up on everything, but yeah, like you said, it was. And you don't have the subtitles with the names going, so you got to figure that part out as well. So it's definitely worth listening to. You've just got to focus, that's for sure.
Well, exactly. And by the way, the best part was kind of the Q&A and the rebuttal. What's funny is you're listening to them talk and give their presentation, the lawyers, and they just, Supreme Court justices just interrupt. I mean, it's just, wait a minute.
Yeah, that guy could be in the middle of diffusing a bomb, and he'd be like, well, if you take the red wire and cut that. Sir, what about the, they just write in, yeah.
That is kind of how it goes. Here's my takeaway. And now, once again, I am not a lawyer. I did not sleep at Holiday Inn Express last night. But I do follow this stuff. And from the work that I've done with the Firearms Policy Coalition, stuff I've done in the California, I mean, this is stuff that I know relatively well when it comes to understanding these things. But once again, I'm not a lawyer. But most of the conversation seemed to be around two things. And the argument by the state of New York had to do with this whole idea of, well, one, you can regulate firearms. There's nothing wrong with regulating firearms or a permitting process. And there didn't seem to be a lot of disagreement either from the justices or, quite frankly, even from the plaintiffs that that yes, there did seem to be, it was okay, or at least it was not unconstitutional to regulate. What they also talked a lot about was this whole idea of density. I don't know why the idea of density came up, but their argument was from New York, well, you can't have the same thing in rural New York that you have in urban New York because of population density. And I thought in the closing argument that was totally thrown out by Clement, because he said, look, if you have more people, you just have more people with Second Amendment rights. So that whole argument of density really doesn't make makes absolutely no sense. But the real argument where a lot of this was taking place had to do with the good cause requirement that so many states have. And that good cause is up to discretion. And it really came down to this. It came down to the fact that the state of New York believed that, well, we get to regulate guns. Heller said that reasonable regulation was okay, and the plaintiffs basically said, yeah, no, we're not disagreeing, at least here, with your right to be able to regulate firearms, but this is the only right where you have to prove that you have a good reason to exercise it. We don't do that with religion. We don't do that with free speech. We don't do that with illegal search and seizure. We don't do it with any other right. But now you want to leave it up to the discretion of a politico to decide whether or not your good cause should allow you to be able to exercise a fundamental right. And maybe it was just me, but it didn't seem like the justices were having it.
No, and Chief Justice Roberts made a good point there too. He said, listen, we do make you get a permit for exercising your First Amendment rights if you want to go out and have a protest or a rally. But the one thing we don't ask you ever is, what's the rally about? We don't make you justify the rally. We're just giving you the rally based upon we have to close this street down and we have to get this many police officers to do traffic control. That's all they've ever done with that. So, he kind of even equated that one, to what was going on with the permitting and asking permission to exercise your rights. Craig, after listening to it, I could tell you that provision is gone. The May issue provision that's there in New York and in the remaining 6 states that have the May issues, in their firearms permits regulations, that's done. Supreme Court's going to wipe that out. And the rest of the questions were just telling enough to see what else are they going to go after. What else are they going to pick apart?
Right. Well, and my question is, how far are they going to go in terms of determining what constitutes reasonable regulation? Because one of my big concerns is that you're going to start to see entities, you're going to start to see states like California all of a sudden start putting onerous burdens on individuals' ability to be able to get a concealed carry permit. They're going to make it so that you're going to have to jump through all sorts of hoops that are going to be way, way expensive. And those are things that are going to have to work their way up through the courts once again in order to determine what is reasonable regulation. But like you said, that discretion thing, I think that's gone. Good cause, yeah. As I said in my Facebook post and my tweet yesterday, good cause took a beating at SCOTUS yesterday.
Yeah, and I see this where I see this one going, because they did ask a lot, and we even got this from the left there, our liberal judges, acknowledging the open carry. There are many places where you don't have to get a permit to carry concealed, but you have the option to open carry. So I think when I see this come down, that the May issue will be gone, and that you don't have to give somebody a permit if you don't want them to conceal carry, but you must allow them to open carry, because the right to bear doesn't say the right to conceal or the right to open. So you must give them one. You may not have to listen. If you don't want to give a permit for concealed carry, that's fine. Then you must allow them to open carry.
Right.
As the option.
Well, and that's,
we may get that far with this.
Yeah, and that's pretty much been what we've been arguing, what we've been trying to argue here in the Ninth Circuit forever. It's like, look, first you took away open carry, right? Then you have highly regulated and subjective concealed carry.
Yes.
Which one is it? Do we have a right to carry a firearm or not? We didn't ask in the one case, we didn't ask whether or not concealed carry. We had a constitutional right to conceal carry. We asked whether or not you had a right to carry a firearm outside your home. They said you don't have a right to conceal carry. Then another case comes up where they say, no, you don't have a right to open carry. They asked, once again, they asked, do you have a right to carry? And the answer that the court gave was, you don't have a right to open carry. So wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is the Ninth Circuit. You're saying we don't have a right to open carry. We don't have a right to conceal carry. So you're saying we don't have a right to carry. And they're like, no, we didn't say that.
We didn't say that. That's not what we said. That's not what we said. How about them Bears?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's going to be real interesting. I did actually a couple of interviews yesterday on it. A lot of people were asking me, well, what direction I thought it was going to go. And I said, I told them the direction I thought it was going to go. I don't know exactly when we will have a decision, but I do know that the Supreme Court doesn't take as long as many of the appellate courts do. Right. So I would not be surprised to see something around the spring, maybe. I mean, the problem is they have to take the time to do the research to write their opinions, and that's where, and on top of all the other issues that they've got that they're going to be hearing.
I'm saying July. We'll see it July, around July 4th holiday.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yep.
That would be nice. We can celebrate real independence.
Yep. Exactly.
Freedom! Give us free.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right.
Give us free.
That's it. There you go.
Excellent. Well, hey, let's since we're talking about courts, let's move on to the next kind of big court thing that's going on, and that has to do with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Opening arguments have taken place, and I gotta tell you, it is interesting because the prosecution is basically saying that Kyle Rittenhouse went there with the intent of harming somebody. He was there. They're claiming, they're not even claiming that he went there with the intent. They're claiming that he was the instigator in the incidents that led to the shooting of 3 individuals. By the way, the 3 individuals that attacked him. It's interesting because even liberal leaning experts are saying, when you look at the video evidence and you look at the eyewitness testimony, absolutely none of it supports that way of thinking or that storyline.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. It's almost comedy. You got the prosecution going, and Kyle Rittenhouse did this, and Kyle Rittenhouse did this, and then he did this, and the defense is just going, oh. All right, well, let's go to the video. And you go to the video, and you're like, it doesn't look like he did any of that. It's what you just say he did not do. And we haven't even gotten to the shooting parts yet. We're simply at the having been in town kind of stuff. So it's funny to watch this go down. Now, this poor kid's going to get railroaded with at least one charge. He's going to get something. It's not going to be these attempted murders or anything like that, but they'll come up with some a ridiculous, Wisconsin gun law that he violated or something like that. But it's looking good so far, and the prosecution is looking like a courtroom circus at this point. The question is, I think you're right. I think ultimately what's going to determine is whether or not he's going to be charged with some sort of a possession of a firearm crime in that state. I don't know if he is or if he isn't, because I don't really know Wisconsin gun laws that well. The question is, did he take it? Anyway, there's going to be a lot of questions about that, but that's not the point. The main point is they want him to go to jail for murder, right? They want him to go to jail saying he went there to hunt people down. Yeah. He went there, well, let's put it this way. The woke left wants to say he went there to hunt black people. And, he was unfortunately was only able to bag a few white guys. Couple of whiteys.
That's not my talk. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying that's the way the left is putting it down, and that's what they believe. Yeah. And like I said, ultimately, even if he went there thinking, I want to be Billy Badass, the question with all self-defense, and I know enough about use of force law to know this. At the time, was he the aggressor or was he not the aggressor? If he was not the aggressor, did he have a reasonable expectation that he was in harm's way, that their actions could possibly lead to him being injured or killed? And if he did, and I think the video evidence shows that he did, then he has a right, a fundamental human right, and a legal right to self-defense.
Absolutely.
And he exercised it
3 times.
There you go.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Watch this trial, and you'll see some good procedural moves, and you'll see some comedy as well.
And know that the woke left will not be happy.
Oh no, Kenosha needs to get ready for some more.
Will not be happy. Yeah. And by the way, speaking of unhappy folks on the woke left, MSNBC. Woo! I'm gonna tell you what. You know, it was reminiscent to me of election night, and when Trump got elected, and I remember going into election night thinking, you know, Hillary Clinton's going to get elected president. Oh God, this is going to be another horrible 4 years. And I admittedly, I did not think Donald Trump was going to win. And I just remember I went to my brother's, who, those of you who watched the show know my brother's a Democrat. I went on it. We went there, and I'm watching the election results come in. And I'm watching all of these liberals around me melt down. And even better, I'm watching on MSNBC, on CNN, on ABC, on CBS News, on NBC News, all the mainstream media. I'm watching as they are melting down and then trying to analyze the loss that they took. And I have to tell you, I was so tickled. I really was, because with all of the mental abuse that they put conservatives through, I was just to watch them go through it and watch them lose their minds. Well, it was miraculous. And needless to say, though, it happened again. It happened again this election, on this off-year election. And MSNBC has they lost their minds. And I'm going to share with you a real brief clip of the meltdown that took place. And then we'll talk a little bit about the backlash that they've received on Twitter. So here, check this out real quick.
Republican voters think Republicans are fake. Never mind that it's fake.
That's right.
Critical race theory isn't taught. It means something different to voters. They think it is. So Republicans are fixing it. Youngkin's going to ban it. And some of it is just a question for Democrats now. Do you adjust to a terrain that is not fair, that is not just, that is all fact-based, but that at this tonight looks like it advantages Republicans?
Well, the way that you confront and defeat an opponent that has framed things in a way that is fake is that, yes, you can create your own competing fake framework and run on that, or you can accomplish real things and then run on that and say, yes, these guys have invented a boogeyman about a form of racial hierarchy that you've fantasized into existence that isn't actually taught in schools. But look, you have a child tax credit, and you have the biggest climate change legislation that's ever been passed in this country, and we have an infrastructure bill, and all of the terrible traffic problems in Virginia are going to get fixed because Republicans are talking about fantasy stuff and Democrats are talking about real things.
Who has done that successfully?
So, Mike, critical race theory isn't really a thing. It doesn't exist.
You know, before we get there, that Richie Maddow, he's such an angry little boy. I don't know why he's always like that.
What's funny though is on this particular clip, Rachel Maddow was the reasonable, sounded like the moderate, reasonable, objective one.
Because she had 4 years of crying every night. You know, she's just she went blank, if you recall. You know, she started to cry and couldn't speak after the Trump election. But yeah, right, Craig. Critical race theory. Oh, it's not real. Why is it not? It's not real. It's fake. It's not even called it fake. They said it's not real. And when they say it's not real, they're like, well, wait, hold on a second. Who do you think's listening to you? You know, we got to get battered by this nonsense for the past 2 years because you were confident. Well, at least the last year. Let's say that you were confident that you were going to sweep because Trump's out and it's a referendum. Listen, Trump wasn't out. We all know how that happened. Pretty much the same way the New Jersey election happened. Oh, look, we got 90% in and our guy's losing. Stop the election. Hey, look, absentee ballots. We found them under the table. There's the same nonsense going on up there that happened around the country. But people are fed up. They're fed up, absolutely fed up. And you can tell us what you want us to believe all you want. We know what's true. and we're not going to fall for this all the time. And that's what they anticipated. And I watched the polls with the family on Monday, and they said, "Look, this is who's going to win here, and who this is going to win here." And I was like, "Those are CNN polls, the USA Today polls. They're not real. They're just making up numbers again. They're trying to exude confidence in the voter, in certain voters to go to the polls and certain not to go to the polls." So.
Well, you know what you get out of this though is that literally they don't get it. They don't get what happened, and they don't get the fact that you may say that it doesn't matter. You may say that it doesn't, that it's not there. Look, I'm a school board member. I can tell you that in the state of California, for example, they have actually passed a law that it doesn't promote CRT. It doesn't force you to teach critical race theory. But what it does do is it allows and encourages aspects of critical race theory, of different methods, including critical race theory, which, by the way, all of it comes from critical theory, social justice theory, which all, by the way, is based on postmodernism, which has its roots in Marxism. All of it. So if you're teaching any of it, you're pretty much all teaching kind of the same thing. They teach different aspects of it, which, by the way, even they're talked about. If you ask someone who is an expert in CRT, they'll tell you, well, it's really kind of hard to explain. Because when they explain it, they say, well, it's just a way of looking at the world. Well, then why do you teach it as fact? The fact is, it is there. It is being taught. They're also ignoring the fact that the most visible candidate in this particular election said something that we all know that Democrats believe, that the Democrat leadership, the wokedivists and Marxists believe. And that is that parents should not be telling schools what to teach their children. That's what they believe. Because see, if parents are telling the schools what they can teach kids, then the schools can't be indoctrinating their children the way in which they want them to be indoctrinated. I mean, put it this way, if you want to retell history, if you want to change history from what we know it to be, that's indoctrination. If you want to start taking down and removing aspects of history that clearly happened and want to just discuss the evil of some people and not the good and not discuss the whole person, no one has an issue with talking about Thomas Jefferson, but let's talk about the good that Thomas Jefferson did instead of just the bad. You have a point in that we don't have to just talk about the good, right? We could talk about the bad as well. But the problem is they want to do the exact flip. They want to talk about just the bad. And when they talk about just the bad, then they want to remove him. And see, just Marxism will teach that the first way in which you're able to implement your own values and your own belief system is by tearing down the system that currently exists. That's their thing. That's what they want to do. And they think that we don't see it. Oh, and by the way, there was the whole thing about that school board covering up a rape. Not just covering up a rape, but covering up a rape and moving the student. By the way, this was a male student who was wearing a skirt that allowed him, because of their open bathroom policy, went into a girl's bathroom and wound up raping a student. That student who did the raping got moved to another school where that student raped someone else. This is not in question. You can look it up. If you don't believe me, you can Google it. It happened. And that parent that they use as the poster child for, we need to sick the FBI on parents who want to go in school board meetings. Yeah, that was the father of the first girl who got raped. And he went after them at that school board meeting. He didn't go after them. He demanded accountability from them after the second girl got raped. Yeah, see, those are all things that you're not going to hear any of those folks on MSNBC talk about.
And you started to go there, Craig, and to wrap it up for the folks, the candidate that said, listen, parents should not get the opportunity to say what goes on in school, what gets taught in school, and if we're going to teach critical race theory, we're going to teach critical race theory. That is now failed gubernatorial candidate Terry McAuliffe. It's done. He's done. Listen, this was the problem. He started spouting that stuff around the state, and people were like, "Oh, a second here. What do you mean, as the parent, I don't get a say in what's being taught to my students? And what do you mean you're going to teach this crap to my students? That's not real." Remember, it ends with theory, right? It was a theory written years ago to stir arguments in law schools. That's the whole reason it came about. But of course, some small-minded one star came along and thought it was real and said we need to start promoting this. So,
right, because it's
sorry.
infected. And here's the thing, folks. It hasn't just infected our schools. It's infected corporations. It's infected the military. It's infected entertainment. It's all over the place. And it's being taught as fact. It's not being taught as a theory. It's not being taught as a way to look at the world. It's literally being taught as this is what America is. And part of critical theory is not just teaching what they believe is, but teaching, okay, this is how we make it into this utopia of what we desire it to be. And it's about implementing social, not just social, but political and criminal justice and academic change. And it's change that, quite frankly, I think will ruin the United States of America. That's my perspective. And by the way, I think that that's the perspective of most people, even many people on the left, even many Democrats.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads us into our next story. James Carville. Those of you who do not know who James Carville is, if you are probably a Gen, what would that be? Probably a Gen Z or a millennial. You probably don't know who James Carville is. James Carville was the political mastermind that helped elect Bill Clinton. He is the one who literally brought together moderate Republicans or when I say moderate, liberal Republicans, independents and Democratic voters, and even the Democrat, the huge Democrat divisive group that it is. He brought together that whole coalition to help elect Bill Clinton.
It's like Willie.
But he very much gets what is going on right now. And when asked on PBS's NewsHour, he had a few choice words for the political left, for the Marxists within the Democratic Party, as to why he believed this mid-year election, this off-year election, went so bad.
Don't just look at Virginia and New Jersey. Look at Long Island. Look at Buffalo. Look at Minneapolis. Even look at Seattle, Washington. I mean, just defund the police lunacy to take Abraham Lincoln's name off of schools. I mean, that people see that, and it's just really have a suppressive effect all across the country. The Democrats, some of these people need to go to a woke detox center or something.
Yeah. They need to go to wokeness detox.
He is the raging Cajun, right? And you listen to him, and Craig, he's trying to keep his party together, right? And nobody will take the guidance of those that have any idea. They don't see the fracture in their own organization. They don't see that it's gone to basically three different sides now of the liberals and Democrat Party. And he's trying, and they're like, nope, we know better. And ironically, it started. He started to bring the Democrats together with Bill Clinton, and their demise. Just pretty much was in effect with Hillary Clinton. So it's just kind of unique, I think.
Well, and what's interesting is, so with Barack Obama, at least with Obama, Barack Obama understood the power of the messaging, in that even though he was going to come in with a Marxist ideology, he couldn't say it. That could not be part of his message. If you listen to Barack Obama when he was campaigning, oh my God, it was like, when he would say, we are the change that we've been waiting for. Whether you were liberal or conservative, you could took that to mean he was talking to you. Now, as conservatives, we know he wasn't talking to us, because all you had to do was look at his policies and his policy proposals and know that he wasn't. But to people who weren't actually looking at the policies, they believed that, hey, he's going to bring us all together. He's speaking my language. Yep. Well, he's the last Democrat who actually was able to campaign like that and speak like that. The wokedivists now are all about, we need to tear down the system, and we need to infiltrate the system. Then we need to tear down the system. This whole, once again, defund the police, take Abraham Lincoln out of schools. The guy who freed the slaves. Yeah, he's racist, so we need to take him out of schools. People are just not going to put up with that, because what they've seen from the election of Joe Biden is this is what happens when you actually implement those policies. And whether at the local level or at the federal level, those policies are failing miserably. And people are like, yeah. No. Our kids aren't learning. The crime is rampant. Murder is rampant. Gas has gone up $1.50 a gallon across the board. Everything is expensive. I can't find anything. This whole woke. Look, I'm tired of going broke because of woke.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Right. Go woke, get broke. That's the way it happens. And many people are realizing that. Except 1 or 2/3 out there that are not, right? That's the problem, and that's what Carville ends with, the great advice. If you want to bring this party back together, you need to go to woke detox, because your crazy little ideas going left and right are just taking the core and turning them away.
Right. I mean, I do believe that a big okay. So you remember the MSNBC clip? Joy. Was it not Joy Behar? What's her name? Oh, I forget her name. The black lady on there. Anyway, she honestly believes that she honestly believes that the core of the Democratic Party are the woketivists. It's the leftists. It's the Marxists. She believes they are the heart and the core of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And that's MSNBC,
Whoopi, right?
and that's all the crap she spews every single time she's on TV.
Right. Wait, you're talking about Whoopi on The View?
No, not Whoopi. She's on The View.
I thought you said
the one on MSNBC. I forget her name, and I'll look it up as soon as we're off. But
no big deal.
Yeah,
nobody's watching them anyway. It's amazing. I saw somebody questioning former President Trump yesterday. Not to get too far off topic, and they said, "Sir, if you run, you're just going to save CNN." And he was like,
Look, everything has its downsides, right?
Yeah, exactly. He goes, they're down 81% in viewers since you left. You're just going to save them if you come back. He's like,
All right. Well, hey, let's get on to our parting shot for the day. And it kind of goes into one of our stories that we talked about a little bit earlier.
it does.
Here's the thing, folks. Of all of this, honestly, sometimes I think if it weren't for humor, I think I would probably cry with some of the things that go on that we have to deal with these days. But this particular joke, some people might get offended. I'm doubting if the people who watch this show on the regular are going to get offended. But hey, I thought it was funny anyway. Oh, what happened to it?
It's a picture of Mike.
It's a picture of Mike. Hold on a second. I have to reset it so that it.
That's all right. That's right. I'll talk to some of our detractors there for a moment. I know a few comments over the last couple of days concerning the SCOTUS issue. People said, "Hey, how come we ain't hear from Mike on this? Is he too busy watching baseball?" No, baseball was over Tuesday, so it wasn't because I was watching baseball. It might have been more on Wednesday where I was depressed because baseball was over, though, because now it's gone. By the way, 102 days until pitchers and catchers report for spring training, just in case anybody's counting on the calendar like I am.
I don't think anybody's counting, Mike.
No, they're not. All right. Well, hey, let me talk to our sponsors for a moment. Let's make sure everybody's reminded of them. Our good friends over at Gorilla Machining. Say hi to Carlos over there. I got to go say hi to Carlos today. It's been a couple weeks since I've seen him. Our good friends at Grid Defense. Our good Joe and Natter up there. Let's say hi to the guys at Grid Defense. And then, of course, our friends at the California Republican Assembly, which is, who's the chairman out there, Craig? Who's the chairman of the? That
would be Johnny Morgan. Johnny Morgan.
Say hi to Johnny Morgan out there. Johnny, look your brother up. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it.
You know what I'm saying? All right, here we go. Bam. Okay, why is that not? Bam. Okay, I am going to get this right eventually.
Now it's the two of us.
Now it's just the two of us. So what we're going to do, we're going to come over here.
We're going
to come back over here. We're going to show you the two of us. And now it's going to happen. It's going to happen right here. Bam, there we go.
So a pedophile, a domestic abuser, and a felon all walk into a bar. And Kyle says, shots are on me.
Now, this is not, we are not pitching underage drinking, just so you know.
No.
Because one has to wonder, what was Kyle doing in a bar?
He was giving out free shots.
Giving out free shots. One round at a time.
That's exactly right.
Dun dun. Okay,
Good
well,
stuff,
folks.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Don't bring a skateboard to a gunfight.
Don't bring a skateboard to a gunfight. Exactly. All right. Well, hey, folks, that's going to be it for today's show. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing and encouraging your friends to do the same. Liking, sharing, and subscribing. And make sure you follow us on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. That way, and by the way, hit that notification button so you get notified as soon as we go live.
Hit it with your best shot.
Right. Fight the algorithms. Fight the algorithms.
Fight it.
Talk to you tomorrow.
See ya.